The Royal Navy tried to sink the Tirpitz for 3 years. They sent midget submarines. They sent Lancaster bombers. They dropped the largest non-nuclear bombs ever used in combat. And when she finally went down, over 1,000 men went with her. The wreck is still sitting in a Norwegian fjord today, most of it anyway, and the reason nobody has finished the job is stranger than you'd think. The German battleship Tirpitz was the sister ship of the Bismarck. She was laid down in 1936 at the Wilhelmshaven shipyard and launched in 1939. At 52,600 tons fully loaded, she was the heaviest warship ever built by a European nation. She was 823 feet long. She carried 8 15-inch guns in 4 twin turrets, the same armament as the Bismarck, and a crew of over 2,500 men of the Kriegsmarine. She was a battleship built to dominate the Atlantic. She never did. The Tirpitz spent almost her entire career hiding. From early 1942 onwards, she was deployed to Norway, first to Fjord, then to Fjord in the far north, deep inside the Fjord. The logic was simple. Her presence alone, sitting in a Norwegian fjord, forced the Royal Navy to keep capital ships in home waters that would otherwise have been deployed elsewhere. The Admiralty called her the Beast. She never had to fire a gun to tie down an entire fleet. The British were obsessed with destroying her. This is the bit that got me when I looked into it. The resources dedicated to killing one stationary battleship were extraordinary. Bombing raids, commando operations, fleet deployments, all focused on a single ship that was, for most of the war, just sitting there. The first serious attempt came in October 1942. RAF bombers made repeated raids on Fjord. All failed. The fjord was too narrow, the anti-aircraft defenses too heavy, and the Kriegsmarine deployed smoke screens that made it nearly impossible to locate the ship from altitude. Then in September 1943, the Royal Navy tried something different. Operation Source, 6 X-craft, midget submarines, each crewed by 4 men, were towed across the North Sea to Fjord. 2 made it through the anti-torpedo nets and laid explosive charges directly beneath the Tirpitz. The explosions damaged her propellers, her fire control systems, and her main gun turrets. She was out of action for 6 months. Both X-craft crews were captured. 3 men died. The Tirpitz was repaired, and she was still there. In April 1944, the Royal Navy launched Operation Tungsten. 2 carriers, escort ships, and 42 Barracuda dive bombers attacked Fjord. They scored 14 direct hits. They killed 122 of the Tirpitz's crew and wounded 316 more. The battleship was damaged, but not sunk. 5 more air attacks followed throughout 1944. None finished the job. By September 1944, RAF Bomber Command decided conventional bombs were not working. They sent 617 Squadron, the dam busters, to Norway with something new. Tallboy bombs, each one weighed 5,400 kilograms. They were designed by Wallis, the same engineer who designed the bouncing bombs used on the Ruhr dams. A Tallboy dropped from altitude would reach supersonic speed before impact and could penetrate deep into a ship's hull before detonating. On September 15, 1944, 30 Lancaster bombers of 617 Squadron attacked the Tirpitz at Fjord from a base in the Soviet Union. 1 Tallboy hit the bow directly. It caused catastrophic flooding. The Tirpitz was now unable to move under her own power. The Germans made a decision. They towed the crippled battleship south to Tromsø, where she would be used as a floating artillery battery to defend the Norwegian coast. They positioned her in shallow water near the island of Hakoya, deliberately grounding her keel in the sand so that even if she were sunk, she would not sink fully, just list onto her side as a fixed-gun platform. It was a sensible plan. It didn't work. On November 12, 1944, 617 Squadron returned, 32 Lancaster bombers, 2 direct hits from Tallboy bombs, a third near miss. The Tirpitz capsized within minutes. She rolled onto her port side and settled at roughly 40 degrees. She did not sink fully, exactly as the Germans had intended, but she was no longer any use to anyone. Of her crew of 2,500 men of the Kriegsmarine, over 1,000 were killed. 82 were rescued through holes cut in the upturned hull. The largest warship Germany